Imagine yourself navigating the concrete arteries of a city you have never lived in. You are surrounded by the sterile geometry of unfamiliar skyscrapers and the indifferent flow of 1,000 strangers. Yet, as you step onto a specific street corner, the sensory data begins to align with an internal map you didn't know you possessed. You know exactly which floorboards in that cafe will creak before you ever step inside. You know the exact scent of the rain-slicked brickwork before the wind carries it to you. Most unsettling of all, you lock eyes with a person passing in the opposite direction. You have never met. You share no common history. But in that fraction of a second, your nervous system is flooded by a crushing wave of grief. Your chest tightens with the physical weight of a decade-long romance, a shared lifetime of quiet mornings and agonizing goodbyes that, according to the timeline of your current life, never actually happened. Your body reacts as if it is mourning a ghost, processing a level of sorrow that is anatomically impossible for your lived experience to produce. Mainstream science attempts to categorize these anomalies as déjà vu. They describe it as a minor neurological stutter, where the brain's temporal lobe mistakenly flags a present-tense perception as a long-term memory. But there is a deeper, more specific phenomenon known as anemoia, a profound, aching nostalgia for a time or a place that you have never actually known. This is not the fleeting curiosity of a history enthusiast. It is a visceral, homesick longing for a specific era, a specific room, or a specific person that has no anchor in your biography. You might find yourself weeping over the loss of a Victorian study you've never sat in, or feeling the phantom touch of a hand that belongs to someone who doesn't exist in this world. Neuroscience dismisses these intense emotional surges as misfires of the hippocampus. They tell us that the brain's wetware is simply glitching, creating a false sense of familiarity from a random arrangement of sensory inputs. But this explanation fails to account for the sheer depth of the information received. A misfire might create a feeling of familiarity, but it does not generate 40 years of specific, coherent emotional data in a single second. If your brain is merely a self-contained biological hard drive, it should be incapable of retrieving files it never recorded. We must consider a different possibility. Perhaps science is looking at the hardware while ignoring the transmission. If you find a radio in the desert playing music, you don't assume the radio created the orchestra inside its own plastic casing. You recognize that the device is simply a receiver, tuned to a frequency that exists elsewhere. These sudden, intense memories and emotions are objectively real. The grief you felt in that crowd was a genuine physiological event. The nostalgia for that distant room is an accurate record of a lived experience. The problem is that these memories do not belong to you. You are experiencing the ultimate cosmic glitch, a memory leak from a version of your life that took a different path. To understand how these memories migrate, we have to redefine the architecture of human consciousness. The common assumption is that the brain is a closed-loop system, an organic hard drive that stores every personal file within the confines of the skull. This model is being challenged by emerging theories in quantum biology. Rather than a static storage unit, the brain functions as a highly advanced biological antenna. It does not generate consciousness so much as it filters it, perpetually tuned to a specific quantum frequency that aligns with this exact universe. Your conscious experience is the result of your neural network locking onto a single glowing horizontal timeline. Think of this as your base frequency. Every perception, every thought, and every memory you consider yours is simply the data stream being broadcast on this specific channel. Your brain stabilizes this signal, creating the illusion of a linear, isolated life. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that this base frequency is not the only broadcast. Every choice you make, every subatomic interaction, and every random chance event causes reality to split. This creates infinite branching timelines that radiate outward, stacking above and below your original frequency. In one timeline, you stayed in your hometown. In another, you are a world-renowned musician. In a third, you never survived childhood. These parallel branches are not far away in space. They are layered directly on top of our own, separated only by a minute difference in quantum phase. Within each of these parallel branches, an alternate version of you is generating a distinct set of memories and emotional data. They are feeling the sun on their face, the sting of betrayal, and the warmth of a lover's touch. Their biological antenna is tuned to their specific frequency, just as yours is tuned to this one. Under normal circumstances, these frequencies remain isolated, like two different radio stations that never overlap. However, the brain is an organic system subject to environmental interference. During moments of extreme stress, deep meditation, or rapid neurological shifts, your antenna's tuning can drift. For a microsecond, your neural network overlaps with the frequency of a parallel timeline. In that moment of overlap, you don't just feel something familiar. You are literally receiving a packet of data from a version of your life where that abandoned building was your childhood home, or where that stranger you felt a connection to was the person you spent 40 years with. You are experiencing the multiverse in real time. This phenomenon carries a much heavier implication than simple curiosity. To understand the origin of the most intense leaks, we have to look at a fundamental law of physics, the conservation of information. In a quantum system, information cannot be destroyed. It can be scrambled, hidden, or transformed, but the data that constitutes a conscious mind cannot simply vanish into nothingness. This leads to a disturbing question. What happens to the massive archive of conscious data when an alternate version of you dies? When a timeline collapses? When an alternate self suffers a fatal accident or a sudden cardiac event? Their biological antenna stops functioning. The hardware is destroyed, but the information it was processing remains. According to the laws of quantum conservation, that lifetime of intense emotional data has to go somewhere. It doesn't disappear, it shatters. The final, most powerful emotions of that dying self, their terror, their deepest regrets, their final glimpses of a loved one, become a massive surge of unanchored energy. This data bleeds through the dimensional barriers. It seeks out the nearest compatible receiver, which is a version of the same neural architecture existing in a nearby timeline. You. When you experience that sudden, unexplainable wave of grief, you are not having a psychological episode. You are acting as a receiver for the ghost data of your dead alternate self. You are involuntarily downloading the final, heavy memories of a timeline that just collapsed. Your antenna has picked up the crash dump of a dying consciousness. This explains why these experiences are so often tinged with sadness or nostalgia. They are the leftovers of a life that has ended. The reason you feel so deeply for that stranger is because in a world that just vanished, they were everything to you. The reason you know the layout of a street you've never walked is because a version of you lived there for decades before their timeline was cut short. You are the living archive for your own multiverse casualties. This suggests that our emotions are not always our own. We are carrying the psychic debt of 1,000 failed versions of ourselves. Every time you feel a glitch in your memory, you are bearing witness to a tragedy in another dimension. You are the survivor of a cosmic lottery, and your prize is the burden of memories you never lived. We can push this theory further by looking through the lens of simulation theory. If our reality is a highly advanced digital construct, a rendered environment governed by complex algorithms, then these multiverse leaks are more than just physics. They are system errors. They represent a failure in the simulation's ability to keep its various instances isolated. Imagine each parallel timeline as a separate save file running on the same hardware. As the simulation becomes more complex, the boundaries between these files begin to degrade. Data from one file bleeds into another. These overlapping memories are corrupted packets of code from a parallel rendering engine. When you feel a sudden wave of Anemoia, you are seeing the textures of a different level loading into your current environment. This raises a question about the nature of the self. If your mind is a collection of data gathered from your own experiences, but it is constantly being overwritten by the grief, love, and trauma of dead alternate versions of yourself, who are you? If 50% of your emotional responses are actually ghost data from other timelines, which part of your personality is original? You may be nothing more than a patched-together archive. Your irrational fears, your sudden talents, and your unexplainable affinities could be the remnants of lives lived by others. Your personality is not a unique creation. It is a collection of multiverse ghosts, a composite of every version of you that didn't make it. You are a repository for the data of dead timelines. This implies that the sense of me is an illusion maintained by the simulation to ensure the integrity of the data stream. But as the leaks become more frequent, the illusion is failing. You are starting to remember things you shouldn't know. You are starting to feel things you haven't earned. The boundary between you and the rest of the multiverse is dissolving. The next time you are struck by a sudden, inexplicable connection to a stranger, or a wave of profound sadness in a place you have never been, do not look for a biological excuse. Acknowledge the weight of the moment. A parallel timeline has just collapsed, and its energy has found a home in you. You are the only one left to carry that version of yourself. You are the guardian of their final thoughts. You are never truly alone in your own mind. You are a crowded room, filled with the echoes of infinite lives and the shadows of 1,000 deaths. The you that you think you know is just the current occupant of a frequency that is shared by ghosts. If you are ready to observe the glitches in our reality and peer into the mechanics of the multiverse, subscribe to Enigma Core right now. The Matrix is glitching. Watch the next anomaly to see how deep the leak really goes.